Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Ecclesiastes with Kurt Bjorklund.
The book of Ecclesiastes starts with the teacher, the Kohelet, talking about how everything is vanity. And he spends the first 2 chapters basically telling us all of the ways we can chase after the winds, the ways he chased after the wind, meaning he was trying to grasp something that couldn't ultimately be grasped. And then chapter 3 is this poem, the famous song, There's a Time for Everything, and a little more of trying to understand the flow of time. And when we come to chapter 4, the Kohelet, the teacher, is basically now talking about some of the choices that we make in life. And the first one has to do with oppression. And this is where he looks and he sees this idea of how there are things done under the sun that are unjust. Oppressions is the word that he uses. Here's what he says. He says, "Again, I saw the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of the oppressed. And they had no one to comfort them. On the side of their oppressors was power, and there was no one to comfort them. And I thought the dead, who are already dead, more fortunate than the living who are still alive. But better than both is he who has not yet been and has not seen the evil deeds that are done under the sun." So he uses this word better, and he's going to use it several times in this chapter, which is why I say that this is about a choice. He's saying better. Now, here his better is better not to have been born than to see all the evil that's done in the world, all the oppressions. And if you've ever really looked at some of the oppressions in our world, you probably understand this just a little bit, because it is heartbreaking when you really see the oppressions. And if you've been on the side of being one of the oppressed, it is also very heartbreaking. Robert Alter, who's an Old Testament scholar and has translated the Old Testament and written some great notes and comments on it, says this: "It is notable that Kohelet registers the suffering of the oppressed as a fact without the slightest indication, as in the Psalms or elsewhere, that God will rescue those from suffering, and without the exhortation, as in the prophets, that we must act to rescue them." Now, what is he saying? He's saying that in the Psalms, there's this idea of there's oppression, but God is the great rescuer, the deliverer. In the prophets, there's this idea that there is suffering and oppression, and the people of God are called to step in. But here, when Solomon talks about it, he just simply bemoans the fact that it is and says, it's better if you don't experience it, if you haven't been born. Because when I look at it, I don't see comfort. I don't see any solution to this problem. It goes on and on. And the truth of the matter is, there's an ultimate hope that God will deliver. There is a call to step in and help with oppression. And there's also this truth that Solomon points to, and that is that there will still be oppression. And so what is better? Well, it's not to participate in it, certainly, and to be somebody who says, I will help alleviate it where I can, but don't fixate on it either, in the sense of saying this world is so unjust, because that will ultimately lead to the same kind of despair. Now, when I say fixate, the reason I say this is that what he's doing when he says, I guess it's better that the one who hasn't been and hasn't seen the evil done under the sun, what he's doing in a sense is he's saying, this is a fact. I know I can't totally change it. I hopefully at this point he's contributed in some way to the alleviation of it as best he can. Certainly you could say he had great wealth. He could probably have done more. But what he's doing is he's saying, I'm seeing this reality, and what I'm choosing to do is to say this is something that I can't totally solve. And so my choice is not to fixate on it, not participate in it, but to acknowledge its reality and continue to live in this world.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.